down here. We gotta roll. What's this? This is what I want to see. There we are. Have to keep tabs on how many viewers we have. All right. We have 3 people. 3. Let's keep counting. It is Facebook Live. Hi, Sandy. Sandy's joining us, sending us a comment. Patty's here. Nice to see everybody. Yes, it's Tuesday again. Woohoo, Tuesday again. Hi, Carol. And it's a little bit wintry today, at least it was earlier. We finally got a little bit of snow, so everybody's probably going, oh my goodness, Christmas is coming and I'm not ready yet. Well, as I said a couple weeks ago, we're going to be focusing on quick, simple Christmas decorations, Christmas gifts. Anne says hi from Sudbury. Oh, it's nice to have people joining us from all across the country. We've been kind of considering ourselves really lucky seeing all of the weather across the country that's getting definitely wintry or really a little hard to handle. We've been really lucky here in southern Alberta. So a little bit of snow, we can handle it. I think there should be a rule, though, that in the wintertime the snow is only allowed to fall on the grass and maybe on the rooftops so it looks pretty, but it's not allowed to fall on the roads because I hate driving in the snow. So anyway, Christmas is coming, and do you know how every once in a while you see something or you run across something, a project, or see something in a magazine, online, or wherever, and you go, I like that. So I made these guys last year from a picture that I saw someplace, and I like them as much this year as I did last year. I don't know what it is about these little snowman creature thingies that I like, but they make me smile every time I see them. I hang them on the banister on kind of a garland. You could put them on a wreath. You could put them on a mantelpiece. You could tie them to a package. Dawn had a good suggestion because they're padded, they're puffy. You could actually put a little bit of potpourri or some lavender in there and make a little sachet. You could leave the hanging thing out and use it as a pin cushion. But there's something about these guys that is just, they're so cute. So in celebration of, I guess that would be our second snowfall of the season, I'm going to walk you through how quick and simple it is to make these little guys. You don't even need a pattern. We will be recording this, so the video is going to be available on YouTube if you need to refresh your memory as to the measurements, but it's so quick and simple that we don't have to worry about a written pattern. So as you can see, this one's good because it kind of shows up on the back here. The top half is bigger than the bottom half. So for the top, you're going to start with a I wrote that down, 4.5 by 3.25 inch piece of fabric. And you can make it pale, you can make it sky, you can make it snowflakes. And the bottom half is a 3-inch by 3.25 inch. So 3.25 goes this way, so obviously a little bit shallower right there. So I've got my pieces pre-cut, and then you need a snowman. And I don't have my overhead camera, so I'm going to switch you over to the one that I would use for the sewing machine and show you how easy it is to cut that little snowman shape. Where's my buttons? There we are. Okay, so I have a piece here of paperback fusible web right there. And I know I need a half circle. So I picked anything that was round. This happens to be the lid from a can of 505. I'm going to move this down here. No, I can't. I want you to be able to see this. So I'm going to set that on the paper side of my 505. I'm going to kind of eyeball the center, but then I'm going to move up a little bit because I want my center point to be 1/4 inch higher And then I'm just going to draw around it. Hey, anytime you need something round, just find a convenient size. So you can see I've drawn that. It's a little deeper than, like, your center point is probably right in there. That's going to make a good healthy snowman head. Okay, the next thing I might want to do is cut off some of the excess of the fusible web. You don't have to be too particular, but you don't want to get too close to the edge like that. There we go. And now I want to fuse that to something that's going to make a snowman's face. And I've just got a piece of white batting. Little thin polyester batting. It's not fusible. You could use a fusible fleece would work. So I'm just going to lay that on there and press that with the iron. So I'll switch you over here to the other camera so you get to look at something pretty. All these gorgeous fabrics. What's this line? This is a great line by Riley Blake. Winterland it's called. And it's really lovely. Soft colors in some of it, or brights if you prefer. And it would be wonderful for this project. So I'm just fusing that down, following the manufacturer's instructions for whatever kind of fusible web you like to use. Bring it back over here. I've got that fused down. Now I can cut that snowman's head out on the line. There we go. So you can make your snowman out of something soft and fluffy. You could use flannelette, flannel, white. You could use white cotton. And then I'm going to take my top, the top half of my little pillow, and I'm going to line them up on there and have a look. I'm going to have a look at him. So he's a little big. He's a little bigger than the other guys that I used. So I'm just going to take my scissors, trim a little excess off. Trust your vision. We talk about eyeballing things all the time. You can trust it. There we go. Take that little excess off. I still have a good curved shape on that. Hold it up again. Oh yes, I like that much better. See how that looks? So now I can peel off the paper backing on my fusible. Now I have always used Heat and Bond. This I think is Wonder Under. So whatever fusible web product you like to use is going to work. Peel off the paper. Now because we have left that extra 1/4 inch on the bottom, I can line that up, sticky side down. I can line that up even with the bottom edge of my top half like that. And because I'm working with fleece, I'm going to actually press it from the back side, get the heat to penetrate so that it bonds nicely. Move this over here, give that a really good squash. So hopefully everybody's in the middle of their Christmas preparations. I got my list written. That's a start, isn't it? Get your list written. Yeah. Okay. So now you can see my snowman is fused to the bottom of the top half of my little pillow. Now I want to stitch around the outside here. So let's switch over here. Oh, there's my camera. There we go. So I have lots of options when it comes to stitching around here. I could use a blanket stitch. I could use a satin stitch. I'm just going to use a basic zigzag because I don't need anything fancy. This is a fluffy batting stuff. So whatever I do on there in white thread is not going to show dramatically. Now I have 3.5 millimeters for width. That's a little wide. Let's turn that down. 2.75 should be okay. And if I'm doing this, I will always have a wee scrap. Let's practice. I've been using a different machine here. It never hurts to do a practice to see, do I like that size? Oh, yes, I like that size. You've probably heard me say it in a lot of places. I always do a test run. Always do a test run. So now I'm just going to zigzag around the top of my snowman's head. There we go. Oh, I put my running shoes on. I can't take them off. There we go. So the key to turning curves with a zigzag or a blanket stitch is you pause on the outside and rotate. And don't go too fast. Pause on the outside, rotate. This way you don't get those little gaps in your stitches. Nope, one more on the, come on, one stitch. There we go. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably put a hat on your snowman. I think he looks kind of cute without it, though. These are very simple, very modern looking decorations. Perfect. There we go. Look at that. He's all stitched down. Trim your threads. All right. Now, I think part of what makes these guys so cute are the little faces. So I am going to put just a light pencil mark where the eyes and the nose are going to be. And again, I'm just going to eyeball. I want an eye right about there and an eye about there. And remember that 1/4 of an inch that's going to be in the seam. So mark that. Mark the nose right there. Okay, now I have pre-threaded. You have to do this before you sew it together, unfortunately, but that's the way the world works. So I've got some black embroidery floss, and I'm going to give them a couple of eyes. And the eyes are just a French knot. So we come up from the back. I've got 2 strands, and I like a triple for a bigger knot. 2, 3 wraps, back down, not in the same hole, but right beside it. Tighten it down, push it through to the back, and give it a little bit of, slowly and carefully pull it through. There we go. He's got 1 eye. Now let's find second eye, and I'm going to just leave the thread joined. Pull it up. 1, 2, 3, and down right beside, but not in the same hole. There we go. Now he's got eyes. Tie a knot in the back and trim our threads, because this is going to be on the inside. Can everybody see? Hopefully you can see. There we go. And for his nose, the nose is really, really simple. It is just about 4 or 5 stitches. And I didn't have any orange embroidery floss handy that was opened out. So I'm using a heavier cotton thread. And I'm going to start at the tip of his nose, like that. And I'm going to take 1 stitch, come back up there. You just make a few stitches. So could you stitch this line by machine with a satin stitch? Sure you could. You could paint it on. You could glue it on. You could do pretty much any way of getting that. You could put it on with a marker if you wanted. So what I've done is I've spread the stitches out a bit here and brought them real close together there, so I get kind of a carrot shape. There we go. I think we're We're going to do one more to fill it in. A cotton sewing thread doesn't have quite the thickness or the fluffiness of an embroidery floss, so you might have to take a few extra stitches just to make that nose look proper. And then when you're happy with how it looks, there he goes. Well, that's pretty good. Then you just turn to the back and tie off that guy. There we are. And I'm actually going to hang on to this thread. Save that. Okay, so we have Mr. Snowman on the top half. Now I'm going to take the bottom half. Nope, I'm going to take the bottom half like this. Fold it over. This is really cute tone-on-tone white fabric with snowflakes on it. Want to remember to switch back to a straight stitch. There we go. And just a basic 1/4 inch seam. There's that piece. And then I'm going to take the 2 pieces that are for the back. Make sure we've got right sides together. There we are. Line that up nicely. Pop that down. So yeah, we didn't get enough snow to make it snowman worthy, but it's a start. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to press those seams before I do anything else. And I think in this case, with the fusing on here, instead of pressing open, I'm going to press towards the white. Give that a little hit with the iron. You can stare at the bed of the sewing machine there for a minute. There we go. That's 1 and 2 pieces. Okay, so we've got those guys ready like that, but he's going to need a scarf. So I have a piece of red felt that I'm going to use for a scarf for him. And I have cut it to be just a hair bigger. I don't have to sew around it. I'm just layering it. If you wanted to, you could put a little pin there. You're going to lay the back side on top like that, and we are going to sew this together. Now if you wanted to make this to be a hanging decoration, you want to put ribbon in, you're going to put your loop of ribbon right in here before you sew it together. If you forget, you can always stitch it on afterwards. Our Chelsea had a cute idea for this just because of the size and shape of these guys. If you didn't stuff it and you left the opening at the top, finished it off, it would make a cute little gift bag to put something small, something narrow in, fold over the top, put a decorative little clip on it. So you don't have to stuff it, but I think it's really cute stuffed. Now, when I stuff anything, I always like to make sure I machine around the corners, because then I get a nice, even, clean seam at the bottom. Line these guys up. You can see the end of the scarf sticking out. So you're just gonna stitch right over there. Oh, don't bounce, machine. Rotate. So obviously now the opening to turn this is at the bottom, because that's kind of the roughest area That's the part you're not going to see. Now, when I come down here, I want to make sure that scarf is lying right where I want it. Go. One more stitch and around the corner. Just a few stitches, pretty narrow. And there we go. So now I'm going to trim those corners. Makes it easier to turn. Everything's nice and neat. There we go. Now the fun part, turning him. And I did not bring any stuffing with me. So there we go. They're not really difficult to turn, and there are a lot of tools available to help you turn little guys inside out. I mentioned last time one of my favorites is just a chopstick. But the Hera folder and point turner from Clover is an amazing tool, and it gives you 2 or more ways because it's got a pointy end, and then it has a sort of a flatter end, flatter curve to it that lets you turn larger areas. There we go. So at this point, now I have a choice. Turn out that corner, turn out that corner. There we are. So he's looking kind of cute, but his scarf isn't finished. And he needs his earmuffs. So what I would do at this point, I haven't got stuffing handy, is I would stuff him and finish off the bottom edge. And then I would take a little piece of felt here. Whoops. Now this is for his scarf. Tuck it down in like that. And I'm just going to use, you can do this before or after you stuff him. Some of this, actually, I think what I'll do, what I happened to grab for the orange thread is actually an orange-red variegated, so it's kind of multi-purpose. I'm going to use the red end here. There we go. And I'm just going to tack that scarf end down like this. And I'm just going to stitch the end to the scarf. I'm not going to sew it to Mr. Snowman. Pull that through. These are decorations, so they're not meant to be toys. So you don't have to fuss too much about making them super strong. So just a couple of stitches like that. Folds that down. There we go. Trim that. So you can see I did that with this one here, and this one is loose. If you want, you can put a few tacking stitches across there. This one I didn't give him a scarf yet. He's going to be cold. But I think what makes the character in these guys has got to be the earmuffs. So again, I've got some felt that I'm working with, and I'm just going to freehand an earmuff. If you want to do this craft with kids, with grandkids, this part, the scarf and the earmuffs, the kids can help with because they can be glued on. Any sort of a white tacky glue is going to be strong enough to hold them on. If we're stitching, we're going to find where we want to put these. One there, and we're just going to take a stitch or two to hold them down. I kind of like them when you just put one stitch in them, because then they sort of fluff out. So you're going to stick your finger in there, come up from underneath, and just do one quick stitch and go back inside there. There we go. Yep, missed them. There we are. And then just fluff them out a little bit there. And then we would stitch on the second one. How's my time doing? Well, we're not doing too bad. Let's give this guy a different technique. We can actually do it this way, then set it down. Make sure we don't sew our little pouch together. Kind of like sewing on a button. There we go. And then back out to the back side. So you could use anything fluffy for scarf and earmuffs. I had bits of fake fur sitting around the house. I think the one has just a scrap of wool batting that I happen to have. Just anything fluffy. If you're using them for decorations, they're not going to get a lot of handling. There we go. So, aside from the stuffing, he is all done. That is how quick and easy that little project can be. If you want, you can add a hanging string at the top. You could add, I put a bell on this one. It's got a little bell. It doesn't ring, but you could add a bell. And they just have such personality that I think they are adorable. So that is, where's my other camera? Hello. Okay, that is my quick and easy snowman decoration, and I don't know what it is about them, even unstuffed. He's got personality. I love these guys. I'm so glad I saw them, and that is decidedly a different size. I wonder how I managed to measure that. That's okay. We've just created something different. Bottom is correct. Top is decidedly taller. You know what? I can turn them back right side out and sew that down. But that was in my bad cutting. I was cutting right before we got set up, and I cut the pieces off the Dawn scrap fabric, and I gave it back to her. I forgot to subcut it. But that's okay. We've got them made. Maybe I like them this size. Maybe I want to put a little gather like that. Variations on a theme. I always like to give people options when we are making things. So what if you made this type of thing, but instead of a snowman, you made a pointy hat and put a little pom-pom on the top. And then on the bottom half, you stitched, probably out of some white batting, you made a beard, and then put a pom-pom nose right there. You would have a little elf hanger, elf or gnome. It's all about gnomes this season, isn't it? Has been for almost a year. So yeah, you can change the principle and do whatever you want. Make one for everybody in the family. If you have an embroidery machine, put their name on them. Tie them to their packaging. Use them as gift tags. Then they've got something to take home, to put on their tree, on their garland next year, and remember you by. So that's what I got for you. I still think they're cute, even though I made that one too tall, and I will shorten it, because it's not a problem. Get him stuffed, stitch up the bottom end, and he's all ready to go. So until next time, which is going to be for me, tomorrow we have 'Tis the Season to Sparkle. in our classroom during the day. So if you're signed up for that, don't forget to tune in at the appointed time. Our Sandy will be along for Facebook afterwards in the afternoon. Yay, Sandy! I know it's always fun to watch Sandy. And then I will be back on Thursday with some more cute little Christmas crafty ideas. So until then, take care, everybody, wherever you are. Take care and drive safe, because we are getting into that season where that weather can make those roads really, really tricky. Up and down, up and down. It's fun doing these little projects. If there's anything that you would like us to cover, just give us a hoot and a holler by email. I think the education@mysewingroom.ca email is still active, and we'll see if we can work it in. Till then,